Welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. We are the Dadley Boyz of What Culture. I'm Adam Wilborn, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week, complete with a very good quiz, of course, on Wrestle Culture. As I said, though, joined by Hamflett and Sidgwick to review last night's Dynamite Holiday Bash. We're so back.
Well, we're not. I maintain I need 6 months of really good across-the-card stuff before I will ever commit to that again. I have learned my lessons from Big Business last year, okay? This goddamn show, I really, really loved it. Still, you know, big problems, big picture with AEW. I'm still not into the Death Riders, nor can I imagine ever getting into the Death Riders, which is sort of integral to everything. Just to use one example. Long-time listeners and viewers, I want you to do two things for me very quickly. One, I want you to imagine this show in an 18,000-seater major NBA arena and realize that was a huge, huge, huge problem.
Yep.
That's not an insight, but just imagine it. It's so much worse if it isn't intimate, packed in, well lit.
Oh my God.
I did my first
Oh my God.
when I saw the actual building and the faces. All were smiling faces.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I want you to do. The second thing I want you to do right now... Oh, sorry, where are my manners? The second thing I want you to do is recall me on a Collision review. I was talking like this, and yeah, it was really good. 3.25 star match, yeah. No one really cared in the building. I want you to remember that tone, that mindset, that total lack of emotion that I had, where I would talk around the spots in the match, and I was like, yeah, I mean, it was good. Trying to bargain for its quality to not appear an outright miserable bastard, even though truthfully, and I said this, and he could tell, I felt nothing for it. For most of the show, in my heart of hearts and in my stomach, GR, I felt something. No, I felt a lot. And then my gut and my heart, I felt a lot. And my brain, I was like thinking about, where could this go? That's a great thing to do with this character. Put it this way, it is December the 19th, 2024. My favorite friendship ended with Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson. My new best friends are The Miz, Karrion Kross, and Ricochet.
Oh my God.
It's the ultimate.
And Darby, Allin, Will Ospreay.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate never say never in wrestling. That it's those three that can restore Sidge's love of pro wrestling in 2024. Like, you can never say never. You can believe that AEW will be all the way back, because if that statement can be true, then so can that. Like, that's how with wrestling sort of will work, and it'll sort of play with your emotions in the most unexpected of ways. This was such a great episode of Dynamite. I thought that my kind of like existing negative feelings towards the Death Riders were kind of crystallized on this show. I think if you were to just watch this Dynamite as a sort of...
John Moxley's problem.
Yeah, like if you were to watch this Dynamite, having not checked in with AEW over 6 months, you were like, do you know what? It's a real shame that John Moxley's doing this crap Death Rider stuff, because everything else is really good. I was watching this thinking, that's just the thing I don't like. They might be the worst thing about Dynamite tier AEW. If this is what your standard...
2 shows in a row where I've gone, oh, wow, what an amazing thing. Oh, God, the Death Riders stuff.
Yeah. And that's all right, because...
Collision and Dynamite.
Like, ultimately, it's not ideal it's your world title. I don't mean that flippantly either.
Yeah.
It's not ideal that's your world title. But ultimately, no show can be perfect. There's always something, like, even when wrestling companies are red hot, white hot, whatever, there's always something that you're like, but if only for that. That's what this Dynamite made AEW feel like. If only that wasn't rubbish.
Yeah.
They'd been nailing everything. Like, and that's good. That is good. Like, that's a high mark for an AEW in 2024. That is a brilliant show.
I completely echo your thoughts on what you said. Well, you said yesterday, you said for a while now. Any chance we can get this whole Death Rise thing wrapped up by Revolution? Like, we got a tease later on for FTR and a mystery, it's Adam Copeland, partner coming back. That's the start of the year. Right, great. Start there. By February, let's wrap this whole thing up.
I said from day one, and I think I've been proven correct in my prescient cynicism, right?
People haven't really given you your...
Where is my respect? As soon as, I think it was Pac was the first person to say, look at the state of this place, and then Jon Moxley was less cryptic and more, this sucks, and I'm here to save it. We have been talking extensively about the almost infinite number of logic flaws and things you could pick at if you want to be like cynical, because this meta premise just is Jon Moxley being in the mood, basically. And then they've tried to fictionalize that, and it's been a bit of a disaster. And there are so many different angles you can approach to criticize it, right? I've just found another one.
Oh.
Because that's how these things work when you've got an inherently flawed premise for your big umbrella storyline. That doesn't really make sense. You're just going to run into so many different issues. Here's one, right? What if this form continues and well before Darby Allin wins the big one, AEW just gets really good again? What if, like, this level of Dynamite, and I still think there were flaws to it, what if they just start really getting to grips with it and formatting it? And yes, the C2 is a cheat code because that thing's getting goated now. If you consider Darby and Ospreay and Briscoe and Fletcher, even like a Carter Fletcher was really good as well. Like, that thing's really starting to hum. What if it just gets really good for 2 months and Jon Moxley's whole thing is, it's still rubbish. Actually, I'm the champion. There's so many issues with it.
We'll get to it, obviously, but it struck me not just in the Jon Moxley segment, but then what else was realistically tethered to it, the FTR bit. Like, that felt so at odds with the rest of this, what the show was trying to present, and it reminded me a lot. And it's always been more difficult since AEW launched to figure out what is bubble stuff and what are things that are actually going to resonate in buildings with customers, with their emotions, with their financial choices. It's always really difficult post kayfabe to figure out what's a draw and what's just something that we get to have a bit of a giggle over, but should really probably be left there. Death Rider's Jon Moxley mindset feels a little bit like when, like, Punk references reality versus just what story's involved in. You've got like a character with amnesia. You've got a guy that might have finally figured out how to properly get over in 2024. And you've got a match that actually illustrates where the best wrestle and doesn't make it feel hollow on this card. And then you've got them like banging on about like very, very in the bubble. AEW's broken and I'm the one to fix it with my methods or whatever. That's like friggin' Punk. Where's my muffins?
Yeah.
No pop. Like pretend wrestling rivalry with Drew McIntyre, big pops.
Yeah,
like that was what that felt like.
Yeah.
And how detached it was from fiction, enjoyable pro wrestling fiction that exists within this world that you want to live in for 2 hours. Such a stark difference on the show, and I think this is worth saying ahead of lots and lots and lots of praise, because you'd rather have like loads of praise and then kind of isolate a thing like, well, like there's the contrast. The contrast was quite stark on this episode, I thought, and it was probably about time that like that Death Rider's attitude was exposed a little bit. Like this laid the flaws bare. If you haven't watched several of our brilliant videos laying the flaws bare.
Yes.
We see the Death Riders arriving, walking backstage, and then Renee's there with Orange Cassidy and Switchblade Jed Watt. What are you more focused on, tonight or the four-way at World's End? White says, make no mistake, my focus is on the world title, but I've got to make it to World's End, so I've got to rely on people I typically wouldn't. I don't have the bing gang by my side. I'll reluctantly rely on Orange Cassidy, but not the same for Hangman Page. We don't need him. And Page barging off and tells Jay White, shut your mouth. Moxley's mine tonight. And they go off arguing whilst Orange Cassidy just gives Renee a bit of a look and pops on his sunglasses.
Yeah, this did absolutely nothing to change my opinion of the world title program and indeed the main event of World's End. I know it's going to be very, very good. I have no emotional investment in it. Skip to the end. Skip to World's End.
Yes.
I saw the reports that it was thought that Athena and Billy Starks will headline over Jericho and Cardona.
As they should.
I can't pretend to keep up, but you know that story has been going on for 2 years, and what Athena's...
The real hardcore ROH fans, and there aren't many. They're desperate to see that get its proper conclusion.
If there's any beating heart in this Ring of Honor, it's Athena's forever title reign and that payoff and all that kind of stuff. I kind of feel like that with the Continental Classic in this 4-way main event. I think they could and should go for the Continental Classic final as the World's End main event. I mean, it's a 4-way. He's done multi-mans.
For the boys as well,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like...
give them as much of a break as possible.
Yeah. It's like he's less precious over his multi-man title matches as main events than he would be over straight-up singles anyway. But the Continental Classic is a final. We said it when the C2 launched, and it was with more of a whimper than last year. It's because, you haven't really preserved what it means to even win it. Giving them the main event of it is the best chance at having a second go at that and getting it right this time.
And then unify it regardless.
Still full belts.
For a match that's in all likelihood is going to be what, Okada Ospreay?
Possibly.
Possibly, yeah.
That's your ending of the show,
That's
right
your main
there.
event,
Take the advice from this show. I mean, it's also reflective of how generally I think people feel about it. But the crowd after Darby Ospreay were not like, yes, come on, let's get this trios match out. No, they're going to be... Anyway, speaking of Darby and Will, they cut brief promos to set up their match later on. Darby
I was like, in the middle of the show? That's not good. I'm an idiot.
I did immediately, the show started and they were like, main event. And I was like, why? I wanted it should be. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Darby
really didn't.
Darby says it's showtime. Will says you're in for a treat tonight with this dream match. Tonight is time for warfare, bruv. Thanks for saving my neck last week, but I'm going to show you why I'm on another level, basically. And then sorry, I've messed up my notes here, Sitch. I appear to get into our first match. I appear to have a women's match opening the show.
I don't think it's the first time. I'm sure Mercedes has actually done it.
Yeah, there's been
against Shida.
A few here and there. Yeah,
this might be our worst ever guesses for Ladies' Night.
Thanks, mate. I won.
Hey, a win's a win, mate. End of the day, 3 points. Well, not 3 points, 1 point, but regardless.
Oh God, can you imagine having a 3-person league next season where there's points for a win?
I'm not doing that. But it was, yes, Mercedes.
Money.
Facing Anna Jay for the TBS title. Mercedes fakes a handshake and slaps her right in the face and then cowers in the ropes to start. She then goes on to hit the three amigos but misses a frog splash. That allows Anna to hit a thrust kick and a flipping neck breaker for 2. There's another thrust kick in the corner. Jay wants the iconoclasm, but Mone counters into a spinning backstabber for a nice near fall. Anna Jay comes back, but then Mone just slams her down by her hair and hits a meteor off the second rope for 2. She takes control during the break. But when we come back, she misses a corner charge. Jay hits a blockbuster for 2, multiple boots in the corner, and hits the iconoclasm. Hits Mone with a gory bomb, but Mone just gets to the ropes to break the pin.
Really nice gory bomb, that as well. Splatter.
Yep.
So Jay puts her in the Queen Slayer, but Mercedes bites at the arm to free herself, which makes more sense than biting at a leg that has
a shin pad on.
Jay tries to go back to it, but Mercedes puts her in the statement maker. Jay fights and struggles and uses her legs to free herself. Mercedes wants the Mone maker, but Jay repeatedly runs her into the corner. But Mercedes comes back with a sunset bomb, double knees in the corner, and hits the Mone maker and retains the TBS title.
Love the pace they set. The intensity wasn't there always, but when it was there, it was really there. The crowd were really, really into this. I thought the structure was one of the better back and forth ratio of offense shootouts that you get in AEW all the time. One of the better structures because people bought the idea of the upset. The nicest thing I can possibly say about this match, and this is my immediate impression upon watching it and feeling it, right? I've gone through my my schedule of watching one of the weaker collisions, okay? Not the case of late, but one of the weaker collisions about 2 months ago, right? Wake up Sunday morning, usually before the kids. Right, okay, I've got to watch Collision for work. Play it, Jimmy Carter, a little bit. We're going to drop that bit in. And then, right, okay, watch the match. And then like, the kids are awake. Oh, I can't watch it anymore. And then
Making loads of noise to deliberately wake them up. Bang!
Pop! I mean, not that noise. But, I know that, right, okay. And then, like, the day unfolds as it does. We're doing activities with the kids or whatever. And, like, getting a bit tired. Oh, when do I do my homework? do I do it before bed, or do I want to watch something that like really want to watch?
Mm-hmm.
But then that means I have to get up early, and it's like, if you just get it over with. And then what I tend to do is I'll just do a bit at a time. I'm watching these matches, and the crowds are kind of there, but it's a lot of these collisions were in like really big buildings, and you get that horrible gulf. And then you go, oh God, you tell me it's fine, isn't it? Yeah, you can't really complain. It's dark elevation on TV, but you cannot complain, or they will come after you. And then you just, and finally it's done. And I've got to do the podcast on it. And I'm so privileged to have this job. I understand that, and I do love it. But collision can be pretty boring at times. I didn't want this match to end. There's an unbelievable near fall that was so well thought out and detailed. And if you watched the match against Suzuki, it becomes even better. So there's in the match against Suzuki at the New Japan Strong Show, they do this awesome spot where Mercedes does a power bomb on Suzuki. 1, 2, voluntarily lifts her up. Nah. I want to literally make a statement and hit you with my actual finish. Does that, and they thought, all right, it's over. What a dick heel move. Leg on the ropes. They do this awesome spot where it's Mercedes' turn to do that spot, but Anna Jay has done the correct bit of pro wrestling here and makes it so that, oh my God, the leg can't touch the rope because she's pinned her in such a way. So when the arm goes out at 2.9, there's a lot of great kickouts on this show at 2.99. You get the heart and mouth moment. I'm watching this match, and I've seen so much pretty bland crepe AEW content in 2024, and I'm a little bit jaded with pro wrestling. I feel like the big dream of the late 2010s and what it could all become, it died a little bit. I didn't think I could do with many more wrestling matches towards the end of the year, to be perfectly honest. I wanted 5 more minutes of this. I wanted 5 more minutes of this, and they just, but away from the action, which, as I said, intense when it needed to be, but not this amazing match, I don't think. It was so well done, considering the level of expectation, that I just sat there thinking, don't go home yet. I can't remember the last time I felt like that. I felt it again about an hour later.
Yeah, I love this. They told a story. I've watched their 2 Mercedes Moné matches this week, and it's obviously comes at a time where I think consensus is that she's maybe finding a bit of form, which everybody is happy about, seemingly. That's the other consensus, is that like there was almost a sadness around, is she rubbish?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to have to like go back and review what I thought about her all those years when I know that those matches made me feel the way they did. So I don't get much joy out of this run being like one of the bigger disappointments of this year, and it's just so nice that it feels like it's ending on a real high. It's funny that Sidge references that match from Sunday, because I was going to do that as well with a completely different spot. Mercedes Moné in that match in the New Japan match on Sunday, hits the Three Amigos quite deep into it in this kind of time to go in as some of another wrestler's best bits, because they're my best bits too. And I'm kind of like trying to reveal here that there are levels to this game, and I've done this just like he did this on way bigger stages than you will ever work. I've just got more to offer. She does it here, I think before the first commercial break, as an almost sign of disrespect, like, I'm heading to the finish. I got 3 things left after this. You're beaten, Anna Jay. And she was far from that.
Yeah.
And it's Anna Jay working her way back in, and then Mercedes kind of get into that next gear that she kind of didn't think she would have to go to. And it's that, it's not subtle storytelling, but it's subtle storytelling in terms of being able to reveal where wrestlers believe they are in the hierarchy until they're proved wrong within the body of a match. And I got totally that same feeling of, I am so enjoying this. And I love that Anna Jay surprise that we always speculate is tonight the surprise.
Yeah.
Because she's got them in her. Like, she does have them in her, and this is not the first time I felt this about
People
Anna.
were tweeting us fantasy booking a shock title change.
She will always be in these conversations because of nights like this. She always leaves you 1 or 2 of these matches where you just, it's sort of a difficult situation for her, because it makes her, worryingly for her, a very credible utility player. It's a bad spot if you're a wrestler, but then it's a good spot if you're a fan, because you can always buy back in. It just means that she has inadvertently created a ceiling for herself. But she's still young and still got so many more like routes to travel down. That there's
And if
maybe-
she's the new Willow Nightingale, as we said yesterday, of just like title challenger, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but she's great. And hopefully she'll follow in that path that Willow, when we were talking about the Collision review the other day,
If
about
she can get...
Willow's got to win a world title.
Yeah, I mean, she must die. She must.
wrestlers always talk about being given the ball and running with the ball. This is a ball.
Who wants it?
This,
Who f***ing wants it?
I'll have some.
this kind of run where you are set to lose a bunch of title matches or set to lose a bunch of high-profile matches, that's a ball that you've got to run with. Like, she could suck at that. You know, you can, they've given 3 opportunities and she was terrible at all of them. That happens sometimes in wrestling. And, like, this is the opposite of that. So she's not going to be as good as Willow. I don't think Willow Nightingale's ceiling is higher than Anna Jay's.
Yeah.
But it's been really, really nice to see for both of these two. And in this spot and in the opening spot, which will have helped. Atmosphere will have been better. They're not forced to
I've
follow
said
something.
this for the longest
You know,
goddamn
we don't-
time.
We don't do the game just to try and nail the time. It's illustrative of stuff and how much stuff matters. And, you know, like Mercedes Moné, I saw a version of this tweet, albeit phrased in a meaner way than I'll choose to on this podcast. But Mercedes Moné opening Dynamite isn't just cool for like the wrestler she's facing, how big the match feels, and Mercedes Moné being a star. It typically means that there's no space for a terrible backstage segment or some rubbish promo. So it kind of preserves the integrity and the prestige of a character like Mercedes Moné as well. Loads of wins here. Loads.
The only thing I think was bad for it was I started watching the show and I thought, God, this must be all women's wrestling because it was the first match on the show, obviously. But we'll get into that now as we get to the name of the game. Before that, the aim of the game.
The aim of the game is to identify to the hour, minute, and second the first time you hear the first note for the first entrance scene for the first woman to come out and compete for the only women's match on Dynamite. The idea being, if we can just nail it to the hour, minute, and second, it'll really sort of bold, italicize, and underscore the problem. Now, aberration time. These matches tend not to open the show very often. What usually happens, forming the crux of this game, is that these matches usually fall in that 1 hour 20 to 1 hour 25 minute range, and you think, God, there's a pattern here. Are they just kind of hiding the women's matches? You wouldn't even think there were any bloody birds on the roster. If you just watch the first hour of Dynamite, and maybe that's the way they like it. Maybe they don't really care about women's wrestling. Maybe they don't care about parity. Maybe they feel like they have to do, otherwise the bloody wokes will kick off. You know what, it's 2024. And you're thinking, right, okay, well, that's a mouthful situation. Can you jingleize it? I sure can jingleize what I perceive to be the cynical, quite frankly, misogynistic thought process at the core of AEW's treatment of women's wrestling. And if you think, are they just hiding them away before the main event? Jingleize it, baby, okay? Don't worry, guys. When the women come out to play, the main event ain't too far away. And that's the aim of the game. And the name...
I've heard someone say to me, jingleize it, baby.
I mean, I'd take it all the time.
You're making a Christmas record and you got some bells. That's not good for December.
Jingleize it, baby.
Sorry, we interrupted.
Sorry, do apologize.
I haven't even got the name of the game yet.
Oh, yeah.
And the name of the game is, well, this is ladies' night, and I'm thinking, oh, what a night. Sorry, my children.
Another year going out on top.
Thanks as always to the Panda Blair himself, Adam Blair at Adam Wilton and Jose Palomares at the Ho 11, the guys who always take care of the
data,
this sort of thing. Like I say, 5 minutes and 25 seconds into this show was when the women's match started. Sid, do you want to run us through our guesses? I mean, it doesn't really matter. Descending? I never know.
It's not a bit. We don't do bits, but this actually isn't a bit.
Don't know.
It's
never been less relevant to know.
So, Michael Sidgwick, 1 hour, 9 minutes, 32 seconds.
Sounds promising.
Adam Wilborn, I don't know you from Adam, 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 16 seconds. Michael Hamflett, 1 hour, 23 minutes, 00 seconds.
So close. Just an hour and a bit away. Yeah. Yes, 5 minutes, 25 seconds. Thank you again to the Panda Blair for that. And that means Sidge takes this one, which means I forgot our bloody trophy, Sidge. But thank you again to Adam Blair, who sent us our
data.
It's been 3 years of Ladies' Night trophies. Please God, let next year be the final year.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, it's not going to be the final. Yeah, it just occurred to me that my little score here didn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. It's what you kind of call a consolation goal. Much like Brentford got against Newcastle United in the 91st minute of last night's League Cup quarter-final triumph.
Carabao still, yeah?
Carabao
What was
Cup.
the score?
1-3-1.
Yeah,
comfy throughout
twice.
Tonali twice with 2 strikes, the technique behind which were absolutely really, really difficult to execute. The fact that he's roaring into form at long last.
You won't bet against him.
Yeah. Shut up, man. That's dickhead stuff, that.
He's getting worried now, though.
Well, that's what I was just about to say before you rudely interrupted. Newcastle United. You got to gamble.
Oh, yeah, you can't
He's an arsehole.
You can't
He's
do
an
that.
arsehole.
We cannot laugh at that.
Newcastle United in a League Cup semi-final.
Yeah, it makes me feel stressed.
He's really worried now.
Can tolerate just a virtual lifetime of Newcastle being the bigger of the two teams. I can absolutely cope with that.
I'm better.
Yeah, it's just it's trophies are those things that actually last.
Draws tonight.
We won a pandemic cup exclusively for lower league teams that we had to take back on the train from King's Cross.
Didn't you win it the day after?
That doesn't count.
Well, what was pretty cool was that Portsmouth, who had decided to develop a rivalry with us in League One, kind of same you and I was like, I don't think about you at all. But that was this weird thing. They had to put 2 finals.
Just to clarify, they haven't really won a trophy.
No. It was a ginormous Papa John's.
Well, let's not besmirch the good name
yeah,
of
you're still in it, aren't you? Yeah,
the former Johnson's Paint Trophy, now EFL Trophy, which we're into the
I'd be embarrassed to win it.
Portsmouth.
Not me, I was there. I went to the game.
Yeah, but there's levels, you know.
Oh, for Chesterfield?
Yeah. I'd be embarrassed to win that.
It was the 2020 final.
That was it, yeah.
But obviously no football at all. So they ran 2 finals back to back at Wembley. So
imagine if you were the team.
It was Portsmouth and somebody and Sunderland and Tranmere for the 2021.
Swindon, was it?
Might have been.
Great record for them.
Got it for
Paolo, what's the score?
A couple of hours. They got it. Oh, we can't wait to take the trophy home.
Take your pictures and put it back.
Put it back where you found it.
That's just random. It reminded me. It popped up on my time hop from 11 years ago yesterday.
There he is.
Hey!
Closest anyone from Chesterfield will ever get to this Premier League trophy there. But yeah.
You hold that? Were you allowed to?
No, that was the whole point. That's why I've got a picture there. I just showed them with the Premier League trophy with me like that. If the microphone is the trophy. Because they were like, you touch it or break your fingers, basically. If they touch it, it's the Premier League players can piss in it or whatever and
cut to Wilborn's wearing the crown. Whoa!
Well, I was just thinking of when we did was it Jeff Hardy who reinvented the Premier League trophy randomly. He was like, hey man, what if it spins?
To make everything
I don't know what we're talking about with that. But there's a real likelihood of Matt Rains' Michael Sidgwick final. Liverpool in the semis as well. So
that's the spice I like.
Tottenham United and Liverpool draw Arsenal.
I'll take them both. I'm hardcore.
So, to run you through it, we did 28 games of Ladies' Night this year.
Would have done more if he wasn't such a part-timer.
Wacky summer did affect this.
I hate being off. I mean, it's clear. A lot of parenting commitments, more than I would like. I hate being off. But I do try and time parenting commitments around Thursdays whenever possible.
It's like you and I'll do Tuesdays.
I'll do Tuesdays.
We have our ways.
But yes, so your record moves on to 5-23 for 2024, Sidge. Michael Hamflett 9-19, and me a perfect 50-50 record, 14-14 for 2024. But then
that's what they always say, perfect 50-50.
Yeah, they were just sort of playing for fun, when it's like when a team wins the Premier League in I don't know, March, and they're just I'll just send the kids out.
November's the earliest anyone's ever wrapped up Ladies' Night. That's new history.
But it'll be back, of course, in 2025. And I have a new strategy that I'm going to unveil in the new year.
He's going to say the same time every single week.
Yeah, just shut up.
Every single week. To the second. Going to land. 52 shots at it.
One's got to be.
Is it like the principle of the lottery numbers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Right, let's head to North Carolina. Not that just yet. We're going to FTR. They're recovering from their kidnapping/attack by the Death Riders on Collision. They were attacked over nothing, says Wheeler. They agree with some of their methods, but
I love the idea that like FTR is like, yeah, you're gonna foo-head with the Death Riders. Your big baby faces, their big heels. Yeah, but we need to say that it sucks too. We've got to be credible. Like,
To be fair, they have said, and we'll have our fun with FTR. I agreed when they said that there's certain wrestlers who like, who wants it? Who f***ing wants it? Because they were saying like, I've seen the Revival want it in the flesh.
Yep.
NXT house show it's a house show, brothers. You don't have to go that hard. And they just did a takeover. I mean, they were rehearsing it, but they just did a takeover level match in Newcastle upon Tyne at a house show. Like, they put in the work.
people talk about the Gable and Rude matches. Like, they hold them aloft as this like house show gem from a dire era. Don't they? Like,
where they just wanted it. I don't care if no one's watching or if, like, the brand that they were on at the time, Raw, was so toxic that, like, people aren't going to sacrifice their so-called credibility by praising it, but I will still go out there and try and smash it because we want it. There are certain acts in AEW who I don't know if you want this at all, and that's the point they made.
Yeah.
So I get what they were saying here.
Some people need to be open to change, but we will refuse to stand by and watch a man poisoned. That was the point they were trying to make here. But they were left laying. Doc Sampson won't clear them for the rest of the year. But good news, January 1st, they will be cleared. And they'll be in Asheville for, of course, the brilliant Fight for the Fallen show. They're going to face the Death Riders. And they won't come alone. Top guys, out.
Yeah, Adam Copeland's going to turn up, so...
Trios title change?
I don't know. It's a bit early in the... It feels like it's going on for 84 years. But I think the Death Riders need those to back up their claims of being the ultimate doyens, etc. Look, another crime was committed. The kidnapping, then the assault has now been verified. Beaten up and left for dead on the concrete, and you start feeling a certain kind of way. I said I wasn't going to take the piss. I'm sorry. Can't help it. Left for dead. It's stupid, isn't it?
It is. It really is.
Rough them up a bit. That's fine.
I was enjoying it when they put the bag on that man's head and tried to kill him, but I do not sanction Mr. Muscle down a gentleman's throat. Come on, mate, his mind's up, lads.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, cutting the ring in half is your limit of what's okay.
Left
Anything
for
else beyond
dead.
that is
Left for dead.
I hate the idea of the Death Riders in that stupid. You remember that vignette for see you at World's End? We'll probably drive there ourselves in a van across the desert. No,
Right, Jeff?
You'll go from you'll go from town to town and work every show like normal.
Yeah.
It's not real.
No, I know. It's just like it's an AEW problem where everything's like the most all the time and it's great. You leave someone for dead before your massive climactic pay-per-view showdown or something.
Yes.
Not
You
like-
should have killed me.
Yeah, you don't do it every week, mate.
There are circumstances so stupid that before WWE just did wrestle crap worthy stuff every week. Wrestle crap used to be the place to go and remember. God, remember when it was that, wrestling is pretty dumb. Remember when it was that dumb that you can just do an entire piece on it? And that was what it was before, this week's Raw had this.
Yes.
Honestly, it was normalized. It was normalized. But, leaving somebody for dead in, wherever, the concrete, but it might as well have been in that van on the way to World's End in the desert. WCW did that to Ric Flair. And you saw it. It was an extended beatdown. That was God, remember when they beat Ric Flair up in the desert? And that was one of them shorthand things. This company's finished. That's it. It was an awful, awful segment of a show. So at least we didn't have to watch it. But they're using a scene not dissimilar to that as that's how bad the baddies are.
Yeah.
And it was awful.
My least favorite bit about Ric Flair getting beaten up in the desert isn't Ric Flair getting beat up in the desert, because the storyline was Eric Bischoff was the indentured servant of Ric Flair through some Fed salt. Let's do that. No, that's
Flair
not how it
became
works.
WCW president and then thought he was the actual shoot president of United States.
His America, which followed. But so as part of this, Eric Bischoff is he's Flair's limousine driver for the week, but he's got a master plan to drive him into the desert where he gets set upon by the NWO. Eric Bischoff sells it at the start of the broadcast, like he's got a very sinister master plan. It's like, yes, Mr. Flair, I will open the door. It's like he's trying to be Shakespeare, like Eric Bishop.
He's like looking at the.
He's like, yes, Mr. Flair, I'll open the door for you. And he's trying to be Shakespeare. And it's like, oh God, you have lost it, mate. You are in that part where the rich, successful guy starts to lose the complete plot, and the hubris of man is manifest. See, I can do Shakespeare better than Bishop, evidently. Mr. Flair. God, it's icky.
I'll watch this later.
It's like an EastEnders villain hug, where like the villain, you ain't got nothing to worry about, and then they like bring him in really tight, and then the camera will linger on the villain's face over the baby face's shoulder, like. And like if you're the one getting hugged, it's like, what are you scowling at? Like, I thought we were having a hug. This is
why you're breathing weird.
Or every WWE backstage segment ever.
We return to AEW though. Out comes Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Great to see him back in a ring, cutting promos in AEW. Cut my music, he says. Washington don't like him though, but he doesn't care about their opinions. He slags off the Washington Wizards. Or no, he compliments the Washington Wizards. There was a Wizards chant, a local sports team.
He slags them off.
Yes. He talks about the greatest holiday in the world coming up, Hanukkah. If you don't celebrate that, then Santa isn't real, and he's not sorry for that. That gets a Santa chant.
Yeah, I love how they smash cut to a shoot child in the audience.
There are going to be some conversations after this show. Santa didn't give them coal as a kid because they deserved it, but because their parents were too poor. But he started a fundraiser. He's got music that he insists gets playing. He's almost in tears, Sige. As he says, picture this, a small child next to you, it needs food. Imagine it's this baby. We see a digitally altered picture of Adam Cole.
Digitally altered?
Looking the skinniest and yellowest he's ever looked.
Excalibur going, that's a doctored photo. And I was like, have you just done that for the avoidance of doubt?
Yes.
Like, come on, mate.
He's not as good as he was. Excalibur, I can't deal.
What's that thing? He's as good once as he ever was. What's that like?
Oh, yeah.
I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was.
That's Excalibur in like Ospreay Darby.
Yeah. Because when I must point this out now that we've broached the subject of Excalibur, he has to do a lot of, we're backstage with whom? We're backstage, and then here's what's coming up on tonight's show, and indeed at World's End. He gets a bit stumbly-bumbly.
Yeah.
He hasn't got the composure. I think there needs to be a third. I think Schiavone should do that stuff.
Has he gone off the show a bit?
Like, feels that way.
I feel like he doesn't like it as much. There was such a... it took me a while to like warm to Excalibur, but there's such a passion for it all when you watch it all back.
Yeah.
That it's like that is always preferable to anything, really, from a commentator. You know,
this is a PWG dude, a co-owner of PWG, who, you know, it's so irreverent, and he knows what sucks. And I think when it sucks, he cannot. It's a bit like the Jim Ross thing, actually. Of like, I cannot put this over with any kind of conviction or belief.
So there's
stumbly bumbly.
There's a digitally altered picture of Adam Cole. And MJF tells us to scan the QR code on the screen to order World's End to put this malnourished yellow child out of his misery. Anyway, then the real Adam Cole appears on the screen, and he's had a meeting with Tony Khan. And if he wants to try and grab the beautiful diamond ring and use it before the end of their match, there's two men who are going to make sure that doesn't happen. It's Taven and Bennett.
It's not fair.
And they
3-on-1 babyface advantage. That's not good.
Yeah. However, the babyface is the devil.
Correct.
They call MJF a dead man, and Cole says, "Oh, there's one more thing I forgot to say.
How does this work?
Am I kicking your ass yet? Because it's a trick. It's a trap." Cole has pre-recorded this video, and he's behind MJF. He super kicks him, goes for the Panama Sunrise, but MJF grabs his scarf and bails out of there before that can happen.
Don't know how that worked. Another thing on the whiteboard of, is this the kind of total nonsense that American cable television wrestling has normalized, even though it doesn't make a lick of sense? Yeah, actually it is. Well, don't do it. Right?
First version of that was the best one ever. Austin getting the Rock to check his pager.
What?
Like Austin getting the Rock to check his pager.
Yeah.
Like it was like he's out on the river and he's like, Rock, and the other thing you need to do is check your pager and like, is it live or is it Memorex, whatever the catchphrase was at the time. And you're like, Jesus, that's absolutely inspired.
Yeah.
No, the best one was when Shawn Michaels thought the person behind someone had a nightstick in their pants, and it was him. It was his big cock. That's what he was talking about.
That was good too. Yeah.
Who's that sexy guy behind you?
Anyway, he's just thrusted if you're not watching on YouTube. So I don't like that aspect of it. I said yesterday on the preview, there's absolutely no way in hell they can get me to believe the character alignments or invest emotionally as I did before the first All in London. So just entertain me. I was entertained, but also a little bit put out by this. MJF was cruel, unconscionable. I liked the visual stupid effect. It was silly.
Right, yeah.
It's one of those where that was dumb, ... I still liked it. I still popped. I think, however, they should have gone. I know the whole pull was MJF cuts a live promo. He's incredible at that. Tune in. So I understand the need for them to do that. And I understand I'm a raging hypocrite. You know what would have suited this a little bit better? Pre-recorded skit. Maybe they could have done this instead of the Lair stuff a couple of weeks ago and found a new angle, because I don't know if they do this much in the States, but in the UK, it's always one of those, oh God, how horrible am I as a person when you get the adverts for donate to charity? Not feel anything for this, you asshole. Starving child. Oh, you're not getting your money out? What kind of human being are you? Horrible you are. So I guess I am, because, well, it's Christmas, and I've just spent, I've been at Tesco, big supermarket here in the UK, twice on my dinner break this week, because there's a lot of people at the Christmas Day thing, more than usual. So I think we'll take some snacks, and the mother-in-law can do the turkey. So we're doing some like quite bougie snacks, I guess you'd call it. And the thing sets back 50 quid. 50 quid to make snacks for people.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm sorry, not maybe next year. Well, I have given earlier this year.
Yeah.
But when they really hammer it home at this time of year, it's like, well, I did it in November. Good for you. Starvation doesn't end in November. I know.
Yeah.
But that's how these manipulative adverts make you feel. I reckon a full-blown commercial would have been the way forward. But guess what? I did pop at the audacity of the image of Adam Cole, because I'm fairly certain I've seen some horrifically anti-AEW tribal accounts use that exact method of Photoshop. And I think MJF's went, banter, I will have some of that. But it's just, I can understand why people would think that is terrible sub-fed comedy.
MJF can get away with it. Yeah, absolutely.
Pop.
And I'm with you. I love both men involved with it, but I'm ready for this Adam Cole MJF story to be finished. And yet, watching this and the way it was all set up and the weird, like, what? So he's got numbers advantage. I did have an idea. Would you like me to present it to you? And it's not physically impossible.
Okay.
So what's Taven and Bennett's...
let's get out of the kingdom.
What's Taven and Bennett's sole purpose there to do?
Be Adam Cole's mate?
Yeah.
Prevent MJF.
Using the Dynamite Diamond Ring.
Anyone in MJF's past who's handed over a diamond ring in the past?
Wardlow.
That's what I thought. That was my
An
excitement.
Undisputed Kingdom member with, like, them. Yeah.
Potential return for Wardlow
Yeah.
to give MJF and just fix him.
He's finished.
Been pitching Wardlow just having to reunite with MJF and realising that going at it alone, like, accepting
The total reset.
Yeah, accepting
I'd
like
rather
a failure of his personal and professional life and kind of like almost succumbing to thinking, you know what, right, let's go down that route again. I reckon I've never minded that.
I've gone off the idea of Wardlow going to the Fed. I don't know.
Passing the ring's a really nice bit of symmetry, isn't it? Giving it back to him the same way he slid it across the Punk, he slides it back to it. Like he deals with them as like a masked figure, takes the ring off them and just do it. Yeah, I love that.
I want someone. We've seen enough, maybe not AEW to WWE, but we've seen enough WWE to AEW jumps, and I want a scene. And I know the money's not there, and it's a complete lifestyle change. Wardlow maybe going to New Japan. I wouldn't hate that at all.
Anyway, following this, we go back.
Yeah, who wants it?
Actually, because
Because you're not going to get that big a push in the Fed because they've got people built in Wardlow's image, like Bron Breakker, who's more explosive, and younger NIL athletes who probably come way cheaper than a Wardlow would want to come.
Obafemi in NXT.
Who wants it? If you want it that much, like, who wants it and who got in TNA, which is virtually impossible, a little bit of traction. You see the bloody physique on Mike Santana these days?
Yeah.
He walks into AEW for a bit more work, and you think, right, okay, I'm ready to watch you again.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to give you another shot. Who wants it? Who's willing to slum it? Because that's what you kind of have to do, I think. I don't envy them.
I'm convinced it's going to happen. What else has been a theme of MJF and Adam Cole? Picking up dropped threads absolutely nobody cares about. And do you remember when...
It's a great selling point, buddy.
I'm not trying to sell it. The Adam Cole... It's been AEW's job to sell it. Like, it's Adam Cole and Wardlow's simmering tension. Remember that? Adam Cole staring
not
down
really.
at him. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I do.
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Like, picking that back up, it's like Wardlow remembers. And,
Better
and,
the devil you know.
and there's the tagline when it happens and somebody makes a nice graphic online and doesn't give anybody any credit.
Kylie as well for you.
Yes, also good. I was looking in the series link last night, looking for Kylie and Cody's.
Oh, yeah, she's
CBB
doing bedtime stories. Yeah.
Can't find him yet. Not on the
I
planet
was
yet.
watching documentaries on Netflix. Well,
What's that I watched last night?
after the match.
Can't remember what I watched. Only Connect. One of the Christmas ones. They put more on at this time of year. It's like loads of Christmas themed episodes. All teams coming back together. It's
Only Connect's good.
special on telly.
So I'm kind of a 1% club guy.
Also good.
Good stuff. We go backstage to Jamie Hayter.
No, I think she's great.
You can't fight what you can't see. Calls Julia Hart a coward. Said it was you attacked me when I was tired. It was a sneaky move. Fight for the fallen. I'm going to drop you on your head and serve you up a strong dose of haterade.
Yeah, I'm into the match purely on the basis of a bold booking decision will have to come at the end of it. That's the limit of my investment. Jamie Hayter has that. I can feel you rehearsing this in front of a mirror promo energy that I talk about a lot.
Yeah, she's not carrying the aura she had when she was absent. But that will happen when you simply don't acknowledge...
I would never talk that much, to be fair, because her match against Willow on Collision was class.
No, like, I still, like, to be honest, bell to bell is where the best Jamie Hayter stuff is happening at the moment, because she had what felt like all of it before she got injured. It wasn't just the matches, it was the promos, it was the, like, every move she made type of charisma where you kind of couldn't take your eyes off her. But this happens to wrestlers when it's not just coming back on a pre-show and doing stuff predominantly on Rampage or Collision. That's part of it. It is weird when wrestlers simply don't acknowledge the thing that you kind of was certain they were going to go back to. The relationship with Britt Baker, the obvious rivalry. It's like she's picked up the Saraya Outcasts element of her absence rather than everything else she could have gone back to. It's like this is where it's having to rebuild.
Yeah.
Like we said the other week, they've created the work here with Jamie Hayter. It's not just her not quite feeling all the way back. Yeah. I'm with you though. I like there's going to have to be a winner here.
Yeah.
They're pushing both.
Yeah.
And somebody has to win.
Commentary then talks about Kenny Omega's road to recovery.
Oh my god.
Go bigger.
His upcoming match at Wrestle Dynasty Dynasty. Hoping to see him back in AEW very soon. There's the Omega symbol appearing at the end. And yes, very allusions to the North Carolina shows, perhaps. I don't know. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, and there's blood on my dick. I'm thinking that it's about
How many
time.
of them?
5 dicks. NXT previews and reviews, wherever you get your podcasts from.
We don't do bits, so just got 5 dicks.
Stupid. I want them to go harder on every single TV show.
Your
like
dicks?
both, mate.
Yeah, it works,
both.
actually.
I want them to bottle the energy of that. Kenny Omega he's so frustrating. I love him so much. He's my favorite. That he can just turn his star power on and off like that. So just turn it, keep it on, buddy.
Yeah.
Keep it on, buddy. Jingle-eyes it, baby. Like those Justin Roberts, the one time I find him palatable when he does those like Kenny Omega has got he's more over than Will Ospreay could ever hope to be. And all that kind of like, I want these video packages to get progressively more like hyped in terms of the tone and how like The world's going to change forever when the great Kenny Omega. I go big with it.
Yeah. I don't need to get hyped. I don't need someone to hype me about Kenny Omega's return, and at the same time, I really want them to get me hyped about Kenny Omega's return.
AEW needs all the hype it can get, boy.
Yeah.
I want him. We talked on Raw at length, and increasingly, little whispers and stories make you feel even more secure in your idea that it's a cool-ass Shark Tank at the top of WWE right now, heading into WrestleMania season. That makes it all better, by the way. Let's not sort of get that twisted. I want Kenny Omega to make it feel like Shark Tank at the top of that card. Like, the very criticisms we're levying at someone like a John Moxley at the moment, get a fucking sweat on, mate, because Kenny Omega's coming back. I want that to be the vibe. Like, people getting pushed and tested and, like, I don't know, like, not made nervous or job scared or anything, but it's wrestling. It's the team game that requires you to be the biggest selfish bastard. It's like nothing else in that regard. And you're Kenny Omega. Love that.
Then we got Hook and Katsuyori Shibata versus Christian Cage and Nick Wayne, who are accompanied to ringside, of course, by Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne's mom, who's got it going on.
Don't do bits.
Early on, Cage bails out when Hook comes in. Nick Wayne gets sent to the outside. And, they stand tall, do Hook and Shibata as the Patriarchy regroup. Wayne gets fed to Hook, who gets red rum, backs into the ropes, and Cage pulls at Hook's injured hand in the cast to allow the Patriarchy to take over as we go to the break. When we come back, Hook hits a throw on Wayne, makes a hot tag to Shibata, who runs wild, as Nick Wayne's mom just really isn't enjoying seeing her son get destroyed by Katsuyori Shibata. Stalling drop kick, puts in a cross arm breaker, but Wayne gets to the ropes. Cage tries to sneak in with a kill switch, but Shibata hits a DDT. Hook goes after Cage at ringside. Sabian tries to get involved, but he gets dropped. Wayne hits a high kick in Shibata as this is all going on. Wanted Wayne's world, but jumps right into the rear naked choke. Shibata has to let it go to get rid of Kip Sabian, who falls into a red rum. Shibata hits the PK on Wayne, but Nick Wayne's mom, the ref's like, "You got it going on," and she gets distracted. That allows Cage to sneak in and hit a kill switch on Shibata, and Nick Wayne crawls over to the cover, and then, Nick Wayne's parents shout at him to get out of the ring so they could hightail it out of there before Hook recovers.
I was pretty bored during this, frankly. The crowd being a little bit more upfront than I expected them to be helped. Collision mind. That's a feeling it coming on.
You powering down.
Collision mind. So this is what I talk about on Collision Review. Most of it's been good the last 2 weeks. And God, I've got some good feelings about 2025, so keep listening and keep subscribed. Of like, the exchanges between Nick Wayne and Hook were a lot better than I thought they were going to be. Hook not being asked to carry the load of a singles match and to be interesting and to hook people in to that space between the moves helps a lot. You can just do his cool stuff. You can just do his cool stuff in the context of a tag match, and it still looks cool. Like such a unique pro wrestler. Go on Excursion.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want it, Hook? Hook wants it. I don't think he does that much. That's the thing.
I was a little bit higher than Sitch on this.
Maybe he wants to, and then Tony Khan just really likes him and won't let him go.
Christian Cage is... There aren't many guys that can juggle this kind of fairly lightweight material with the fact that he is sitting on a guaranteed heavyweight title shot that he can use at a moment's notice when the champion's at his weakest. Christian Cage is one of them. I thought this was pretty economical stuff, honestly. Like, the match wasn't great, but it wasn't like inoffensively bad. And I just really, really love Christian Cage. He elevates everything to me, and he's elevating Hook, and he's elevating what any of this means. I think there's a lot of, again, part of this praise is perhaps a product of a hot and enjoyable Dynamite, because when the show feels good, everything sort of feels elevated by it. But I just think there were worse ways to spend this television time than on this, because Christian was directly involved. Had it have been Hook and Nick Wayne, or
Their exchanges were great, I thought.
But like as a singles match, I mean,
I
don't think that'd have been as sort of complimentary or as generous, maybe. But I thought it was all right.
We get a video package on Chris Jericho. I love this. Loads of facts that aren't true about him. And he's basically going around all the tourist spots in New York City, Times Square, Radio City Music Hall, the Ice Rink, the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, all while carrying the Ring of Honor World title. He'll be damned if he'll let anyone take his crown, standing for the the pay-per-view on Friday. I didn't love Chris Jericho. I thought, oh God, I'd love to go to New York in December. That looks class.
It's I love seeing New York like this. This was quite a good bit. Like Chris Jericho, the New Yorker, picking the biggest tourist spots in all of Manhattan.
Yeah.
That's quite like that's Chris Jericho, like vintage tier stuff.
Yeah.
Like
King of
like-
New York, yeah.
It's like an extension of the Michael Scott gag in The Office.
Yeah.
Though. Is that another best pizza joints in town? It's like the chain, isn't it?
chain restaurant, yeah. The Limmy, it's crazy town.
It's crazy town.
We got another video package on Bandido. Annoyingly, not beating up any Cowboys this time. Bring that back.
Can't wait for this return.
What
What a bang up job they've done with this.
Harley Cameron was there with an acoustic guitar.
Oh my
Oh
God.
God, I thought it was the 12 Days of Christmas. That's what she did. Countdown.
Well, just where is it on the?
Yeah, just press
I think
press
it's
the button. Just find the button and press it, mate.
I'll get us a mid-roll ad. It's a long song.
Yeah. Oh, that's not it. That's definitely not it.
Come on, man.
Imagine our buttons, but it's a 12 days. 5 big bonus.
And that's just me.
We don't need bits.
I've got 5 dicks.
That's
Listen
it.
to NXT, the reveal.
Mariah May asks
Not going to show you.
why.
Get us a glove for Christmas.
Mariah May asks why Thunder Rosa wanted to become a wrestler while she was a social
There
worker.
is just one thing I need. It's underpants. I got 5 dicks to feed. What for Christmas? There's a glove.
Was it to make her family proud? A hero's just a dreamer who hasn't realised they're dreaming. And Mariah May says, I'm not a hero. I spent my entire career looking after myself. It's worked out pretty well. If I was here 4 years ago, you wouldn't have even been hired. She accepts the Tijuana street fight for World's End and tells Rosa to bring her father because she'd love to end 2 generations of Rosas in one night. Does failure run in the family? I'm not bringing my own dad to World's End. I don't want him to see what I'm going to do to you.
Mariah May. Is she in that enigma pile with Bron Breakker and Jay White? Because sometimes she cuts a promo. I'm like, you feel like you want it, that you are a star, that you've got this attitude that positions you above everyone, and I can believe you, and I believe that you believe you. Other times she's doing a failed Hollyoaks audition for the latest Villainess.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
sometimes it's not good, and I don't think this is good.
No, I don't like
the
the end of every Riley, bro. Yeah, I'd agree. I think there's a bit of a problem here with they've done everything right, but it is
Not everything.
No, not everything, but they've done all the necessary things to get to this match, but it's just impossible to buy Thunder Rosa as winning, and you can't work around that sometimes, and they're even going to the extent of bringing the family there, so even when Mariah May wins, you just add extra heat by her doing something awful in front of her dad. On paper, yeah, every single bit of it, it's just, you've got to feel it too, haven't you? And I'm not quite there with this one.
Put Tony Storm back. You're not taking the title off Mariah May before that, are you?
What was the rush there?
I don't know. But I'm not.
When is Grand Slam? Because
February.
that's maybe the rush. They may be plotting it all out and thinking, well,
Yeah,
how
let's
many
bring
weeks?
it back. The Dynamite after World's End. Then I'm fairly certain that's the next pay-per-view. There's not one in January.
2 months to tell the story they're telling with it. Yeah, probably. That might be enough, yeah.
Signposting. It's been an AEW, but they were doing it all the time.
Now, on to one of Michael Sidgwick's favourite points in this show, and I'm, again, astonished I would say that a few weeks back.
Oh my God.
Because here comes Ricochet.
I love him so much, man.
Not to wrestle, to cut a promo. Tony Schiavone's chatting to him ahead of his match with Ospreay on Collision. Tony says, you got a real good shot of, winning this C2. But you've kind of had a bit of a change in your demeanour. Before Ricochet can even speak, really, here comes the Hurt Syndicate. And Ricochet's like, hey, we all look good collectively. We look great. Hey, MVP, I'm not sure if you saw how I beat Commander and beat Brody King too. After tonight, maybe Shelton can have 6 points. Maybe we could face each other in the finals, eh? I'm going to show you another side of me when I face Ospreay and Collision. And MVP's like, Ricochet, can I quickly see that business card I gave you? And he's like, oh, here it is. And Bobby Lashley just grabs him by the throat. MVP rips it up and says, yeah, offers rescinded. No one likes a kiss ass. Ricochet walked out. Oh, I'll talk to you later. And MVP tell Shelton Benjamin, good luck. His match is up next. We're not going to do that. We're going to skip straight to the other Ricochet segment because this was so good. Renee Paquette. When I point at you, you know what to do, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Renee Paquette is backstage with Ricochet. Don't know what I was all about with the Hurt Syndicate. I mean, they gave me a card in the first place. Anyways, beside the point, I got 6 points in the C2 this Saturday. I'm a step in the ring with one of the reasons why I came to AEW, Will Ospreay. I didn't just come here for him, though. I came to shut people up, and that's why I'm going to have my eyes on the next match. And as he does that, he turns to leave, and there's Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana just looking at him. Strickland calls him a turd.
What up, turd?
What up, turd? And then says, Trevor. Ooh. I was hoping you'd have changed when you came to AEW.
He's still a little dog.
Still the same old Trevor, a follower. And he's like, well, I wondered how long it'd take to hear all that Swerve's House stuff. Remember when you didn't win the C2? Well, it's going to eat you up inside when I do win it. And he leaves. Cockily walks up despite having 5
It's
minutes
fine.
ago.
They like him, though, man.
Yeah,
they like
yeah.
him. Did they beat him up, as he pointed out on Twitter?
They didn't. No, it's right. So he cockily walks off and Swerve just goes, and that's why he's still bald.
Oh my god.
I'm in love with Ricochet.
It's so much fun to do. Can you do it?
No,
He doesn't want to
I
do
don't
it.
want to do it.
He's saving it. That's
Yeah, there'll be a day. There'll be a day.
I love this development so goddamn much. I cannot put it over enough. I feel like I could... When I get this jazzed about something, it's so rare I get this jazzed. Dissertation. Character of Ricochet in AEW. That's my thesis. First of all, what I want to put over is...
oh. What about you cut title it? Knowing me, knowing you.
Very good.
Very good. Very good. I love the actual booking of the Hurt Syndicate and how they have taken the AEW stable concept and just elevated it every which way. Hamflet is lower on this than a lot of people, but I think it's working broadly. The idea that I loved so much, Shelton Benjamin isn't just there to eat pins for Bobby Lashley. Shelton Benjamin is a legitimate force in his own right. Not 50-50, 75-25 realistically. He's not even the leader of this unit.
Yeah, I thought
Bobby Lashley's even harder than he is.
I thought they could have just had like we'll give Beast Mortis. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
But I thought they could I was like, if anyone's going to drop a loss to Beast Mortis, it's Shelton Benjamin for that
They are
reason.
treating
But
Shelton Benjamin seriously with the idea of being, it's getting a little bit rote, this pin eater in the stable business. What if we do something a little bit different and they're doing that with Shelton Benjamin? I love that. Now, another problem with the AEW stable brackets general, other than just being a designated pin eater, is, do you want to join? Either, no, let's have a fooed, or, yep, and then they have the little stable. There's a standard to the Hurt Syndicate, where
he's from Max Caster.
well, that's the thing. I'm really interested in how all that is approached now, because the idea is we don't even care that much if you're winning. There are standards, like the way you conduct yourself is pathetic. It's demeaning to you and to us, and we will not have any of it, even if you're winning matches. It's the complete antithesis to been scouting you, you've got potential, join us, and then we'll just do some mid-level TV for 2 years before this eventually fizzles out. So I really like all of the way that the Hurt Syndicate has been booked and just completely redefining what it means to be a stable and a good one in AEW and the standards. It's all really, really strongly done. Ricochet. Right. Here's what Ricochet can do. Well, he used to be able to do awesome matches. Right. He's never been cool. This guy could travel back in time, become 27, die, and he still wouldn't be cool. That's how uncool Ricochet is. He just isn't. He's not cool.
27 club's ruined.
He's just not cool.
It's become the 28 club because Ricochet's in it.
He's just not cool. So don't try to present him as cool. Unfortunately for him, Will Ospreay, Takeshita, Fletcher, and now Omega's coming back. That broader thing of Ricochet, he ain't that good at that as these guys no more. So he can't even be the best moves guy in the world. So you think, well, what can we do with him? What It's that thing that John Cena to Becky Lynch. What are you? Oh, I'm the Irish last kicker. Yeah, but what is that? Ricochet, who are you? I'm a insufferable, really obnoxious. Okay, we can do something with that. We can do, and the self-awareness on this Ricochet is stunned me. It's like, yeah, I'll do that. Like everyone thinks he's this. It could become cartoonish and flanderized. Okay, I keep doing it. That noise will never get old. I rewinded it about 50 times.
Shout out to Jay Gorman, who tweeted us this morning saying, I can't wait to see you two and me incorporating the Ricochet noise into the pod. Oh no, you don't do bits.
Right. So the balance immediately is wonderful. He's kind of winning. He's not just this loser geek who's got a thing like so many AEW talents have kind of given themselves or been given as we've declined over the last 2 years. He's still a winner, and he's just a bit of a knob with it. I think that's crucial, and if he keeps winning but adopts this kind of like gimmick, then it'll work from like crazy. He's so perfectly cast. They have identified that which people feel some. Do you feel anything for Ricochet? Not anymore. The moves aren't quite as spectacular in 2024 as they were in Dragon Gate a decade ago, you know? Right. How can they feel something? He's a bit of a tosser, isn't he? He's a bit of a cringe tosser, right? That's the gimmick. And he's playing it immediately to utter perfection. And as I said, though, the wins really sort of back this up and will help it to not. If he's this dickhead who just finds a way and just wins, it's got so much more substance than it has any right to have. I just think this is a genuine bit of a masterstroke. It gives you the feeling of someone in the WWE creative abyss, which Ricochet was in, hot period be damned, just finding themselves in AEW. It's just, that's kind of what the company was founded on almost, and it was a little callback to that. So I enjoyed that because that happening makes you think, the power, it's not shut off forever. It's not back, but it's not shut off forever. And there was another point that I wanted to make about this Ricochet thing that I really, really enjoyed. Have a little talk and I'll see if it pops back into my head.
It's not just, Sid just covered just how great Ricochet is for this role immediately and how good he is at performing it. Like, it's not just that Ricochet nailed this tonight. It's, for me, the big thing was here, because I liked it, and I don't even think I liked it as much as Sitch, but it was a feeling that it left me with that AEW have done it at all, because it reminded me of what WWE did with Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso this year, separately, but the benefits that you've had from that, of when a creative machine is as well-oiled as, in wrestling, this is not me doing a Fed thing, in any time in wrestling, when that creative machine is firing, like, the good ideas spring forth at such a rate, it's like, well, which one do we use first? You see it happening on screen. And because everybody's feeling so confident and ready to shoot some ideas, they're also confident with saying, like, openly criticizing something as a way to make something better, not simply tear it down. Nobody buys Solo Sikoa as the next Roman Reigns. Well, what if Solo Sikoa was the only man in the world that bought that, and we can finally laugh at him doing that? That might just fix everything. Yeah. And, like, this is Ricochet. Nobody buys him as the best wrestler in the world anymore, not by a long chalk. Nobody even buys him as being, like, a half-decent version of the best wrestler in the world, Ospreay. And they used to be peers. They used to be comparable. It's like, well, what if he's the only one that does? And then you start from there and you work forward. That's a creative...
He was already better as a heel against Brody King last week. I'm actually looking forward to the match with Ospreay now.
Like, I thought last week they had a particularly strong week with him. I thought the booking of Ricochet last week was kind of inspired, and I didn't quite understand the criticism towards, like, man, what are they doing? Like, Brody Lee's getting cheers out there. And it was like, yep, that was when he said he had all the cards. What an arsehole. Like, this is week 2 of this thing. It's not just, we stumbled upon something here. And it just, like, it's been restorative a little bit. And, like, hang on, like, somebody has applied a bit of oil to this creative machine because that's spotting something, and that's
turning his personality up to 11.
Yeah.
Like, I had an idea as you were talking then. He's not crap, obviously. He's incredible, Ricochet. He's just not, like you say, at the same level as Will Ospreay. They should do, the mirror spot that they did, but he's like a step behind, but he doesn't realise it. So he looks up.
And Ospreay.
There is the point that I want to make. This is a role that I've missed. Yes, it's a different, like, Jimmy Uso is a bit of a clown. Solo Sikoa is a bit of a clown. Like you're not that serious to do comedy. There is a great lineage of the insufferable bellend, who is nonetheless just incredibly entertaining in pro wrestling. Just incredible. Buff Bagwell, Brian Christopher. How has this not been his calling all along?
Yeah.
I'm not being flippant. He's amazing at this already. This is who he is. He'll never be cool. And I love like Too Sexy. Brian just laughing his head. I just love it, man.
Like necking on with his bicep. Necking on with him.
I love the
Like in the club at 1:45 with his own arms.
The hyperactive dickhead. I love that role so much, and it's back.
It'll earnestly babyface him in the
such
end.
good colleagues.
Oh, yeah, I just realised it sucks.
It'll babyface him in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way wrestling works now, and it'll do it quite quickly as well. But I think he could end up in the Hurt business as this.
No, that's the thing.
The Hurt Syndicate, sorry, as
That's
this.
the thing. I'm already, the synapses are going. I'm starting to think.
Yeah.
Of like he's trying to get in. He's like, he's already doing it on Twitter. I was like, "Oh, my buddies, man. Just you know, they love me. That's just how it's just they're just being like them. That's just how we show our love to each other."
Like our Truth in the Judgment Day. Sis.
Shut up, man.
I was about to say that.
Come on, think about it.
Well, no, because one's a complete cartoon who shouldn't be cleared.
Yeah,
for
and the other's our
wrestling.
Truth, but they're close to
Shut up,
each
man.
other.
Shut up. What I like about this, because it's instantly better than that could ever be, is that at some point, Lashley, the great walking Armageddon Lashley, is like, oh, God, this was actually really good. I might be in trouble here. Get Ricochet in. And that's, it's great.
That's how wrestling works, isn't it? Favors, and it's like, oh, fine.
Yeah.
He does just enough for us.
Yeah.
Ricochet hyphen, knowing WWE, knowing AEW.
Perfect.
Shelton Benjamin beat someone in the Continental Classic Blue League in amongst all this.
It was the Beast. Mortals.
Benjamin crotched him and hit a pump knee, sending him to the Beast to the floor for commercials. MVP talks about Benjamin having a recent knee procedure, and I think it was Daddy Magic. He was like, making excuses. He's like, "Oh, kill you right here if you say
MVP
that."
was awesome on
He's
commentary.
so good. There's a nice fire-up spot for the Beast. There's a stare down, multiple headbutts, but he runs into a wild thrust kick from Shelton Benjamin. Rolling German suplexes, step-up knees in the corner, and a T-bone suplex for the win. They call it the Hurt Fall. Yeah, Shelton moves on to, I think, 6 points in the C2. And they go, right, let's kick his ass a little bit more. In comes Lashley and MVP. MVP tells Benjamin, take him for a ride. More German suplexes, chucking all over the place. Daniel Garcia comes out after MVP says that's what Garcia's got to look forward to on Saturday. And he says, look, I'm not stupid. I know what's going to happen when I come to that ring. It's 3-on-1. But I don't care. I think the fans want to fight tonight. But out comes Mark Briscoe. Again, it's still 3-on-2. And MVP breaks the cane over Briscoe's back. And they lay them both out. And MVP hands the TNT title to Shelton Benjamin.
I want him to win it. Don't want him to win it. The match was good, not great.
Yeah.
The crowd's investment in it enhanced it immeasurably. And those knees to the corner were absolutely awesome. The thud. I had a really good time with this. It's like,
It's not the best thud on this show, but it's up there.
yes. Yeah. This is one of those moments where I was like, God, does Hamlet make some salient points all along? I'm joking. Not world-class action, but because I'm so invested in the Hurt Syndicate again, like, I really enjoyed this match because the characters were over and I'm into what they're doing, even if the wrestling itself wasn't that great. And that's his review of every WWE match. And guess what? You got a match of the year contender after this. So basically, it's twice as good as the Fed if you think about it, Hamlet.
We were so close. This was I got more out of this than 100 Shelton Benjamin WWE matches because it was purposeful. Yeah, the action can only be the action. I will say, and we've made this comparison before, and there's an obvious connection as to why, because it's not a nice name to invoke at the moment. The Brock Lesnar route they're doing with Shelton Benjamin, obviously because of their connections, does work in AEW because it's a smaller roster at large. So when you get the attacks in the corner, when you get the thrust kicks, when you get the suplexes, it does have that vibe of
Manhandling.
Brock monster in somebody, and you can do that with Shelton. Yeah, like this to me is way more effective, even if the match has a much, much lower ceiling. For the same reasons we say about Ricochet. Like, Time moves forward. Shelton Benjamin and Ricochet and the Motor City Machine Guns and their ilk get lapped, and that's it. And one day, amazing as it's even time to think about, Will Ospreay might get lapped. That's just how this works. Those wrestlers that are in that position now that have been lapped, do this instead. Make Ricochet a bit of a clown within the Hurt Syndicate. Make Shelton Benjamin a bit of a bully, flat track bully monster figure, because the real monster's Lashley. Like, they can all occupy a different space without having to be the best wrestler, because they're not. And I like that for this.
Time for Tony Storm, Portrait of a Rock Star. RJ City sitting in hotel rooms. Tony Storm walks in. Lovely to meet you. And he's just looking at her. Storm talks about always been about the grind on the indies. Can't believe she's finally made it to AEW. And RJ City says, what about being a 3-time women's champion? She goes, ooh, a little bit early to be aiming that high, but maybe one day. And she puts over Saraya and Mercedes and Mariah May.
Another little pause before she's asked about Mariah May. Best in the world right now.
Every little flicker, like a film reel, like of Timeless Tony Storm, is amazing. The arms one on Rampage before she did the ace attack, like, and then one of the commentators, and then she went, I love those.
And RJ just gets frustrated. What about Timeless Tony Storm? No. RJ, it's Tony time. You do this. See you later.
Right. Usual caveats. I don't want to say this every week, but I will. I know what I'm like. I'm a hypocrite for enjoying how heightened and absurd this is and burying the crimes of the Death Riders. I get it. I'm just saying they're both objectively dumb, but I'm subjectively entertained by one and not the other. What's mad about this Rockstar Tony Storm deal, Tony Time Tony Storm, is that it is beat for beat what she was doing earnestly a few years ago.
Before, like, Charlotte Flair threw a pipe.
Yeah, she got green pie, didn't she? Yeah, on SmackDown. I remember that.
It's just wild how it's note for note, rendition-wise, the exact same. Just, it's a flex. It's not just this interesting story development. What a flex it is to go back and say, look how much I've evolved as a performer.
Yeah.
It's not even funny.
Favorite thing. This is my favorite thing on the show. Favorite thing in AEW. Honestly, I love it. I love
Really?
this so much.
Bit of you in it.
It's a bit of me. I love Toni Storm anyway, so it's helpful when, like, the wrestler can offer you so much of everything, and she does. I said this on Twitter over the weekend. I know we take this mythical genius podcast quite seriously, and I wouldn't say she's there, but I definitely think she's one of the more intriguing and interesting wrestlers to talk about over this last, like, half decade or whatever, because of what Sid says, like, the kind of road she's had to travel and the things she's had to figure out, but then upon figuring it out, my God, has she jumped in front of so many that think they figured it out, because Timeless Toni Storm was it. She's broken through. You become that star. You become that gimmick that she could now work till she's 100 on the indies if she wants. And in the meantime, the ability to walk it back and then flex that. It's got that, if this was the Attitude Era, it's got that thing where every wrestler was kind of forced to go at this pace while poor old X-Pac was just being X-Pac, and then one day he woke up and everybody hated him. Like, that's because everyone was moving at a Toni Storm rate, and everyone was having to think, right, how do I evolve? How do I kind of use what I've done and build upon it? And you see the thought and you see the work being put in. Like, this segment, a great idea on paper, but you have to nail the questions and you have to nail the person asking the questions. The word and the phrasing of the questions and RJ City's deadpan is what makes this. For the fact that it almost looks shot for shot like one of the original Timeless Toni Storm interviews, to even snap her back into life, because that's what he's ostensibly trying to do. He's trying to find Toni Storm in there, and he can it. And you're kind of like willing for him. Why don't you phrase that question slightly differently? You might get what you want, but it's totally believable that he would speak that way. Come on, what about Timeless Toni Storm? That was such a great. No. The bit where she's like, I love three things, like wrestling, rock and roll, and the grind, and it's just, like that.
So you will like it.
Like, I remember that. We watch it in the office sometimes.
I
want to die inside. The NXT UK promo that she cut, and it's like
the shiny, because I am the wild side.
Shit.
So I'm just going to leave.
The flex, as you point out, we love watching a wrestler put the pieces together and become undeniable. It's amazing, that feeling. It's like, oh my God, they're on a rocket to the moon and I get to be a part of this. We've watched her do that, and now we get to watch her celebrate it and go all the way back to the time when she wasn't. Stone Cold Steve Austin on that same rocket ride couldn't suddenly come out in a blonde wig and be stunning Steve.
Yeah.
I remember when I was his leaves are getting nowhere. And Duggan was.
I mean, Sling Steve Austin was awesome,
but like Duggan was beating this character in 10 seconds or whatever. Like you can't do that. She's such a unique performer. Kenny Omega would and could do this. He could put the blue and yellow trunks on and be like, you know what? I'm going back to the beginning again, and like just sort of be this like attaboy Kenny Omega trying to make it in DDT. It's a thought on that level. And she's brilliant. I cannot wait to see like more of the matches and watch how she develops it in the ring as well.
And then we got to Darby Allin versus Will Ospreay.
Oh my God.
TV match of the year. Better than a lot of pay-per-view matches as well.
C2 Gold
I
League.
don't know if it's got Darby and Takeshita Lich. I just can't decide. Right there.
It's amazing. This is better.
We got holy chance before they even lock up. And early on, Ospreay rolls to the apron, and Darby Allin thinks now's a good time for a coffin drop, but Ospreay moves, and
Oh my God.
Jesus.
I've heard actual explosions that were quieter than this. He couldn't have caught it at the worst, and if you're a sick freak, best angle. He didn't just. Sorry, he didn't just clip it. Ooh, that Shawn Michaels 98 Rumble clipped the edge. He is clipped and landed flush on the edge at the same time. It's awesome.
He's done that. He's never bounced off it in one fluid motion, has he?
No.
That's the first time he's ever done that version of it. Normally he'll kind of like
But
straighten
it
his
didn't
body to land on it for the flattened pressure point, and it's like, not this time,
Yeah.
I had Tabushi on the neck against Naito stuff,
Yeah.
but with his whole ass body.
It's the Mick Foley comparison. Again, because he's just chosen the dumbest way to make something really intelligent. Because the comeback after that bump,
Darby selling in this
was
selling on offense was
his selling on offense was absolutely exquisite. He's miles better than so many wrestlers. But the exact gruesome nature of this bump and how it had to feed the comeback and how you're still able to summon the belief to get it done was majestic. This is one of the best TV sprints you'll see in your entire life, but it had an emotional heartbeat to it as well. Just an incredible professional wrestling match.
Yeah.
Sorry, recap it.
After the break, we come back and he has to hit a desperation springing coffin splash. They back and forth counters, more on that in a second. And Darby Allin hits a float over stunner for the double down. Darby Allin goes up top, gets cut off. Will Ospreay hits a cheeky Nando's kick. I can see Adam going. Ospreay jumps off, rolls through from a leap of faith. Darby Allin tries a code red.
Oh my God.
Ospreay flips him over into a hidden blade.
Oh my God.
Tries for a stormbreaker.
Oh my God.
But Darby Allin reverses into a code
Oh
red.
my God.
It's not, the sequence doesn't even end there, mate. You know, Excalibur's 2.99 ad infinitum. Has Will Ospreay located something even better than Roman, Kenny, and Kurt? That near fall was ridiculous. Absolutely absurd.
Ospreay springs up for an Oz cutter, but Darby Allin sidestepped into a springboard coffin drop for 2. They climb the ropes, and Darby Allin wants a superplex to the outside, but Ospreay holds on, kicks out his legs, and hits
Oh my God.
a Styles clash from the apron to the floor.
Oh my God.
Every single second. It's like, I hate to put him over because he took his own advice way too literally. But that Levesque thing of, if you think you're going too slow, go even slower. Of all people, Will Ospreay and Darby Allin took that advice because it was just that lurching dread and registering. No, this is insane, and we want you to consider just how insane this is. And then when you just think you can't do it, bang, that's when we do it.
This was almost my dream. Didn't quite get the running tombstone, but got the Styles Clash. This was the polar opposite of one of my least favourite things in wrestling of all time, which is the Kurt Angle tease German off the apron. You know, there's nowhere for the German to go.
Yeah.
He's going to do what? And then he did it once on AJ Styles on the barricade. And it's like, well, at long last we've seen it. In WWE, you were never going to get that spot. And why even make the theatre of the mind overreact to that? And then it's like...
That's when people say Angle was a little bit overrated, and people sometimes...
Which I disagree with, but I've always got the criticism.
I've always got the criticisms. It was things like that.
So, they both should be dead. Ospreay selling his knees, understandably, rolls back in the ring. He wants the count out. But Darby Allin breaks the count at 9, rolls straight into an Oz cutter for 2.
Another unbelievable near fall.
Ospreay wants
Like Darby joined the 2.999 club in the same match.
wants the Stormbreaker, but Darby Allin spins out into a Scorpion Death Drop.
Oh, God, after the Showtime line earlier
Oh
in the
my
night.
God.
And again, yet
Oh my
another 2.910. I know that doesn't make any sense, but you know what I mean. The
Darby,
2.910 kick out.
Can't do math calc trigger when your head's exploding.
so Darby limps over to the corner, coffin drop, second one, 1, 2, 3.
Absolutely sensational. My mind was blowing. My heart was racing. I was making dumbass noises in my living room. Fist pump. Stood up for AEW a little bit. That's what I'm still fighting for.
Yeah.
That's why I hold you to the standard that
Yes.
I do. Even though we are approaching that nexus point of, has it been as bad for as long as it was incredible, or has it been as uneven for as long as it was invincible? And you see something like this and you think, this is what it's all about. This is why I watch it. I was electrified. My mind was blown. I had the highest standards possible. I described this on the preview and in the weeks ahead of it, of the closest thing to my ultimate AEW dream match of Omega versus Darby Allin. I could not have had higher expectations for this, and I could scarcely believe how good it was. Like, Wilborn, I don't want to drag down your thing just to put over my thing. And it's not just NXT, it's a WWE thing, quite frankly, as well. When I tell you on those WWE TV show reviews of, I just don't believe what they're doing, I just find it so flat and mediocre, and there's no intent behind anything they do, and this is what is in my head of the way to do it when I criticize the way not to do it. In many respects, a perfect pro wrestling match in terms of the story, in terms of the selling, in terms of the action. There is not I don't want to do the whole, this match had everything. But it kind of had everything.
It just worked.
It just
Need I
worked.
say more?
Need I say more? We don't do bits. We don't do bits. But I'm serious, though. I'm
Yeah.
serious.
Oh, it's great.
If you want, right, what does this match have? Bang, checklist. It has the checklist, and yet maybe it's just Darby's selling in the fact that it didn't go half an hour and it didn't feel too back and forth because it was Ospreay's match to lose before in a wonderful, just proper charming moment. Darby Allin invoked the power of Sting, and that's how he really got into it. Action, check. Emotion, check. Story, check. Crowd psychology, check. Because you have, well Darby Allin's dead. And then he's like, hang on, Darby Allin's going to win. To go up that graph of manipulating the investment of the audience and then making the noise to prove that it's worked. Psychology, check. Perfect pro wrestling match. And that even doesn't do it justice because you just have to watch it. You literally, if you somehow just thought, and I don't blame you, I'll miss Dynamite and see what the boys, imagine not being one of the boys, thinks about it. You have to bloody see it. You have to see this for yourself. You've described it, and as brilliant as you are at recaps, you can't do it justice. You can't do it justice. So Code Red, Ospreay, I'm countering that, and it's so urgent, and it's so believable, and it's so, my mind was like, I am watching a real thing, and it's not real. It's a collaborative, like, theatrical version of a fight, but because you've got the wrestling mind, you can lock in. Gets his feet, and it's one of those where it's like, it's that Omega trick to get a Carter out of the first Rainmaker. I'm not saying the match was as good, but I'm saying the physical work was almost as good as that first Omega Okada match where he does that wacky flip out of the first Rainmaker, the first One-Winged Angel attempt on January 4th, 2017. It's the shoulder pop of, like, that's how you get out of it. Kind of does that, but it's only when I'll rewind. This match went 15 minutes, not my house. It went 30 because I rewinded so much. When I was like, stop rewinding it, get into the flow. I'm going to watch it again tonight. It's that little pop of the shoulder to flip him back out on his feet and just that, me, bruv, I can hit blind him here. Bang! And then they get the near fall of the year before the even better near falls in the match. About 3 near fall of the year contenders in this match. Hamfler talks. I could talk about this for 5 more minutes.
I'd happily listen to you talk about it because I've got little to add on the action, which was incredible. This lived up to expectations. That's one of the highest compliments I can pay Darby Allin versus Will Ospreay. There is and I I'm going to sort of echo some of the stuff I said when there was the Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher Young Bucks tag and the trios match around the same time, maybe a week apart.
Yeah.
And Darby Allin versus Takeshita. There is a face melter tier with an AEW that simultaneously is precisely what AEW needs and kind of undermines a lot of AEW in 2020 for the roster's too big, right? There's too many wrestlers that cannot. I don't need every wrestler to be this tier because then what's the point of that? But you want every wrestler to be chasing and approaching it in AEW. And
It's where the best wrestle.
and they don't. And this is that reminder of what AEW must always, always lean on, because it doesn't matter that, Dr. Fed tells you and fights you over telling you that I think there's been the best storytelling promotion for 2 years at this point, but especially this year, because AEW can get there again and might get there again. WWE can't get here.
They'll never get here. I don't think they want
And
it.
I don't care. Yeah, I like WWE for what it is, and I like this AEW for what this is.
Yeah.
Because, what's a better example than storytelling right now? Because that is promotion, WrestleMania, whatever, the Netflix lot. AEW can't get there.
Sense of occasion.
Yeah, AEW can't get there, and nor should it, perhaps. And WWE can't get there, and even when it wants to, can't get there. It cannot get there. This is AEW crystallized. This is, and it is Ospreay, and it is Darby.
This is AEW Manifest.
But it is not. But it's not the easiest thing to guarantee, because the best wrestlers can go out there and have a bad night, or the chemistry might be shockingly disappointing, or something like that. We've talked about this before. One of the only things that matches the thrill of a match you were hyped about, in terms of emotional response, being as good as you knew it could be within 10 seconds.
Imagine this in a 2 month ago building.
Is the nervousness of when it isn't going to get there. That horrible feeling about 2 minutes in, and be like, oh no, they're not going to get there.
That Ospreay flip from Darby's springboard arm drag.
Yeah, first
and
thing, wasn't
Ospreay, bang! It's like, how do you move your body like that? It's like, right, I'm seated.
10 seconds, you knew they were going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's just, this is a feeling, and more often than not, that feeling, that face melter tier, there's only really a select bunch of wrestlers in it. And I don't know if I still count the Young Bucks in it, but there's the hype with Kenny Omega.
They're on that, is it Garth Crooks?
Yeah.
I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. That's where we
Garth
are
Brooks. Garth Crooks.
Garth Crooks is the
the
professional football player and pundit, yes.
Well, maybe he was as good once as he ever was.
He's always great.
That's what when we talked about the hype around Kenny Omega, it's because, he can do that. And you want to feel that way hypothetically about every wrestler in AEW, and if they're not there, you want to see them getting there. And it's just nice to be reminded of that. It's nice to be reminded of the actual bar, because too often John Moxley...
I want to see a best of 21 series.
Yeah.
John Moxley talks a good game about the bar, but then increasingly it's like, the Orange Cassidy match was it, but where is it really? And you kind of just sense that these two could do it in a best of 21 series, because they could do it all the time.
I know you won't have had a chance to hear his thoughts on it, but what do you reckon Dave goes on this?
It's funny, Dave, I promise I haven't listened to the review. I think you'll spend too much time talking about that apron bump and regurgitate the same talking points. This could have missed the peak or not been as good with an extra 5 minutes, and then we would have gone higher. I don't want to be too cynical about Dave. I'm not here if he doesn't do what he does. If he's not born, I'm probably not doing this. I don't want to disrespect the likes of Mike Johnson and Wade Keller, but it's Dave.
Yeah.
He's lost it in terms of Kenny Omega, and I don't know if he was working. I don't think he was. Said he's completely lost the plot. He's been fooled by a version of a great match, and I feel not blameless in that because I set the template for it. I reckon he'll go 4.75 when this was way better than some of the Ospreay bigger matches. This is better than the Pac one.
Yeah.
I love the Pac one. This is better.
This was the thing is I like to think with Ospreay, I'm quite a harsh judge with Will Ospreay, because I do have this disconnect kind of, because I don't know what's coming, but a lot of the time I feel like I know what's coming. It's almost the element of surprise that Ospreay has. I know you've got all this. I know you've got all this 8 out of 10 stuff, but like, what have you done for me? Like, where's my 9s and 10s all the time? And it's one of the, and I do think sometimes
he's not blameless.
Yeah.
That's his thing.
Yeah, I do think sometimes that's on him. But
If he was restrained just a few more times in New Japan, you know,
not everybody's body can do what Darby Allin does with his body, and I think this was like as good as perfect, whatever your version of perfect is, by like traditional wrestling standards, because Darby Allin's registering was fantastic.
the struggle was unreal.
Like you always talk about the single visual. I always think about the single visual in so much pro wrestling, promos, feuds, matches, angles, like a single visual. Mine of this is Darby Allin crawling back to do the second coffin drop. I knew that the moment I was watching it. He's screaming and he's reaching for the second rope to pull himself back up. What an amazing finish, by the way. But like that was a theme throughout. Like Darby Allin is selling with every move he makes the reality of trying to go fight fire with Will Ospreay. That's what he was doing in this. And that's the difference sometimes between, that's why I was really high on the first Fletcher match. You know, because he looked like such a kid.
That was better than this. He went 5. He might go 5, you know. He might go 5.
He should go 5.
He should go 5. It's a day 5 and me 4.75.
And it's Ospreay, which sometimes means it's a 6 or 5 and 3/4 or whatever. But I know what you mean. I kind of get that about this. They'll be like,
I like this way more than I would say all but maybe 1 or 2 Ospreay matches this year. And I think Dave will put it as 10th.
What do you think?
My gut feeling was not 5. So
Yeah,
I think have to be 4 and 3.
4 and 3 for me.
I think it goes 5. Oh, we'll start to find out in the game that we only play in the office tomorrow. It's a 5-way tie in the Gold League, by the way.
Of the booker, he takes the piss. Tony Khan, this is what you need to be doing, brother. Apparently this didn't come together until really close to the time when he had to put it together, and he's just booked it tremendously in terms of the permutations and the connecting stories. I love the idea of Benjamin and Ricochet being on the same points, as that should remain the case, maybe because he can turn around and say, I'm as good as your boy Shelton, you know?
A hard question to answer now, not just that this match has happened, but that we've talked about it with such glowing praise, this Darby and Ospreay match. Better or worse than last year's C2? I don't mean like comparison to be the Thief of Joy and all that, but I just think it's a worthwhile chat. AEW at the moment.
I don't know. I think last year's was maybe in retrospect elevated by my notion of, well, we're getting back on track. Whereas I've kind of lost that belief this year. I think Danielson, Garcia, Kingston, Danielson, Claudio, storytelling was better. I still preferred last year's C2 to this because that Collision stuff did something to me. Like, go back and watch Danielson, Claudio on Collision at some point. It's almost a masterpiece.
We watched more matches in the C2 last year because they've chucked.
I've been catching up on the Rampage. I have been. I don't blame you for that.
I'm a little bit higher on this year, if I'm honest. I think like
the booking's better.
Yeah, the last couple of like this and the Collision main event, like feel like they're both going to stick with me a little bit more than some of the stuff from last year's, and I like the what's going to happen at the end in terms of speculating on the permutations. I think has been more fun about like working out the semi-final and the final. It's impressive. It's impressive that he's done this.
Now we have to get to the Death Riders. They come out after Darby.
I like the match.
Yeah,
not like this. That's what people are going to press stop now. I like the match.
No. We'll get to the Claudio stares at Darby Allin. Obviously, they're going to face.
Which is funny because Claudio's this like towering monster of a man in this Death Riders role, and Darby Allin's back's in half from where. Well, keep working, pal. Onto business.
He's working him on Saturday.
Yeah.
Collision looks great.
The schedule's thick. You're sticking with your football thing. It's a Christmas schedule for the wrestlers at this point because they've got to wrap it all up in these taping cycle before World's End. It's a match.
And then it was time for, the Death Riders, John Moxley, Pac, Wheeler Yuta versus Orange Cassidy, Switchblade Jay White, and Hangman Adam Page, who just wants to get his hands on John Moxley. And he starts and says, come on, Mox. Yuta starts. I don't want it. You can have it. Orange Cassidy.
So this is like Hangman Page is the one who's had bleach poured down his throat and not Orange Cassidy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Surely Orange is like, no, they're trying to kill me, Adam. I should be more pissed off with John Moxley than you this week.
Moxley comes
Maybe
in,
don't kill people.
wants a gotch pile driver, but Cassidy escapes into a beach break. And both Jay White and Hangman are please tag me in. Page comes in, runs wild, stalks Moxley, but Marina Shafir stands in his way. That allows Yuta to attack from behind. They go back inside. Page levels Yuta with a discus lariat, sends him in the corner. Is like, John, come in. But as he's waiting for that, Jay White makes the blind tag. I've had enough. I'm going. If I can't have him, I'm not going. I'm not doing this. And Hangman Page storms to the back. Moxley tries to attack Jay White from behind. Jay White nearly gets the Blade Runner, but Moxley escapes and hits a pile driver to take us to a break. When we come back, Cassidy's still down. Jay White's having to fight on his own. Pac hits a slingshot cutter. Jay White hits a suplex. Cassidy gets up for a top rope DDT to Moxley, hits some kicks, a spinning DDT, but Moxley and White come back in to trade some suplexes. Orange Punch gets counted into a cutter from Moxley. And then Hangman Page comes, I've changed my mind. I still want him. He sprints to the ring. He wants a buckshot. Mox is there. He's in position, but before he can set it up and hit it, Orange Cassidy hit an Orange Punch. Hangman Page just looked at him. Why'd you do that? Yuta comes in. He is a Stun Dog Millionaire. Hangman Page is like, someone's eating a buckshot. It looks like he's trying to hit Cassidy with it, but regardless, he hits Yuta with it after Cassidy ducks. Pac comes in. White takes him out with a Blade Runner, and he and Hangman Page start arguing. Cassidy's like, calm down, lads, not worth it. And Moxley schoolboys in for the 1, 2, 3. Post-match, they all keep arguing, and then the Death Riders jump up on the apron with chairs, and they fight them all off, except for Moxley, who bails with Marine Shafir. And, the babyfaces stand tall.
I'm very mixed on this. I'm kind of cross with the Death Riders, which probably taints my sort of feelings around this match, right? Usually in AEW, where I was like, I don't really think much of the story here, but the match will be good. Not usually, recently, okay? I don't want to be one of those dickheads. And then you see some kind of tag, trio, 8, 10-man preview, whatever, of the match, and you think, actually, it's going to be even better than I thought, and I'm into it. Not to a degree. I was torn on this. This is the sort of preview match that AEW usually does so well, but I thought, I did like this match, and I'll get to one specific reason why imminently, but I thought, if they're going to do all this bollocks arguing in the main event, or hopefully the semi-main of World's End, then these electrifying wrestling dynamics you've got within the four-way are kind of going to get compromised by Jay White and Hangman Page having arguments about who gets to pin who, which is probably going to be, it is a four-way, but I want that to be not as emphasized as much. This made me think that's going to be the thread, and I don't want that to be the thread. So this bickering amongst the baby faces really sort of diminished my interest in the match at the pay-per-view. So on a very real basis, this preview match failed. However, Jay White was so awesome yet again in the ring that I'm thinking, well, he's going to save it. He teleported, man. So they do the spot where buckshot to Cassidy, well, we look out in the way. Then Pac's like, all right, well, Jay White's there. I'm going to chin him. Jay White teleports underneath Pac's lariat forearm attempt or whatever it was, and then drops him with the Blade Runner. It's a teleportation in the middle of the ring. That gets the gentleman's three on its own, the teleport spot, and the rest of it was just neither really here nor there.
Yeah, I'd say I like this more than I did when I saw it in a graphic.
Yeah,
I liked it more on the graphic.
I was into the Hangman Page element of it. Go big, daft pantomime. If you absolutely must do, can they coexist? Answer that question in the first minute and a half and say, no, they can't.
Yeah.
They weren't asking that question. They couldn't coexist. So I thought that was it's probably Sidge's good version of a bad thing for me, this, because I just don't buy much of it, really. I don't really buy it in there, Mox.
It was Jay White versus Mox.
Yeah. This happens in cycles with me and Orange Cassidy. I really, really resent getting fooled again by AEW when it comes to Orange Cassidy.
That's a weird thing with Cassidy.
They always take
fixation.
They always take him to a level where I'm ready for the big push and the man big in the world. And it's it's a me thing. It's I won't accept that they don't see that and they actually in fact see him as a just underneath perfect utility player. So I always feel a bit ripped off by that. And I'm stuck in that again with him here. I'm like, he's not winning. And to your point about the bleach element of it, it's like, what is he? Is he a man that is raging with getting poisoned? And he's like,
this has exposed the actor after long last.
Yeah,
this has exposed the act really.
bleach break. There you go.
Bleach break.
So I get a bit annoyed watching that and thinking it's a constant case of what could have been, because I do think sometimes they weren't. AEW was so brave to platform on Orange Cassidy as if to prove themselves an alternative, and were never quite brave enough to go all the way with him. I feel about Orange Cassidy how a lot of people, makes me understand the Hangman Page main character thing, because it's not the same, but I want the same with the world title, and I'm sensing I'm never going to get it, and it frustrates me. Elements I liked. I don't care about the match at the pay-per-view one bit.
No. It'll be fun when it's on.
Yeah.
The last 5 minutes of it will be excellent.
Hopefully it doesn't main event. I agree. I think
It won't.
the
It
C2
won't.
final
It
should. Anyway, let us know your thoughts on AEW Dynamite in the comment section below, or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Well, actually, they can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflet at
Michael Hamflet.
or Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
Follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE, and make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling wherever you get your podcast from for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, it's been the Dynamite review. My thanks to Hamflet, to Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.